Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here. We are going to dive right in. Sorry about my watermarks. I put my water jar right there while I was painting the other day and yeah, left a big mark. All right, here we go guys. For Pisces. Spirit, please show us what Pisces needs to know. What does Pisces need to know right now? Wow. Okay. I just have to put some crystal clothes on this girl. I need a little bigger crystal. Here we go. All right. Pisces. Wow, I'm getting two different messages here. The first one is that some of you are in a relationship or you're beginning a relationship, and this relationship is actually the gateway to your personal emergence. In other words, it's almost as if this relationship, it's showing me like these wings around it, like this, and you're growing and becoming more solid and more confident and more secure within this relationship. And then it's like the wings peel back like this. See how they are? And you come out this, it's like your butterfly moment. Okay, so that is one storyline. The other storyline is that there is a relationship coming that it's like it's helping you find your voice. It's helping you communicate. Some of you may be, there's something here about communication. I'm getting the throat chakra and the third eye chakra, where it's kind of like trusting yourself and sort of learning how to speak through your intuition. You know, you guys are extremely intuitive, and in relationships, I feel like you kind of automatically key in. Both actually, my daughter and my best friend are both Pisces, and like my best friend, when I'm talking to him, I can almost feel him trying to be like, why does she need to tell me this? Or why is she communicating this to me? Or what? Like, he's looking at it so much more than just what I'm saying. You know, oftentimes we're actually like creating something together. Like he's a director and I'm a photographer. So like we're doing stuff. In which time it's extremely helpful that he's a Pisces, right? And that he has this intuition. But it's showing me not only like interpreting, like listening to the intuition or listening through the space of the intuition, but now it's also like speaking through the space of the intuition. And I feel as though a lot of you think this way when you are communicating with people, but you don't voice it. You don't say, oh, this. You know what I mean? I do not know how to describe this. Hopefully that is getting it for you. There is this meditation moment right here. And, you know, whether you are in a new relationship or whether you are wanting one to come in, it is really important to stay connected to yourself. And with this meditation card, I am getting like the energy of visualization. I actually listened to a song, I think it's by Krishna Das. It's like 5 minutes long. And I will, when I'm struggling, like when I'm very distracted or I have a lot going on, or I don't have very long to meditate, or I can't maybe do yoga that day and I just have like 5 minutes to meditate. It's a song that I put on, and I close my eyes and I will visualize, and I will visualize things going well. I will visualize myself being at peace. I will visualize my energy recycling through my body. I will visualize these things that have like a lot of oomph in a very short amount of time. And I think playing this song, why I'm telling you about this, is that for one thing, I've done it so much in my life that my body knows when it hears that song, oh, we're meditating. And it's like much faster process for me. Also, it is like Sanskrit chanting, and just hearing and listening to Sanskrit chanting helps change your vibration. And when you're like stressed out or really busy, it is really important to connect with that. And then the other thing is, but you have to find what works for you. This song is a combination of Sanskrit chanting and Foreigners, I Want to Know What Love Is. It combines that, and it just works for me. And the time limit, or like, it's not a time limit, right? But it'll go and play another song. But I know that it's 5 minutes. And so it helps me to relax. Like, I don't have to set an alarm. I know the song is 5 minutes long. And in 5 minutes, I feel like I get meaningful benefit when I do those things. And this meditation energy is just sort of giving me that. So I don't know what that is for you. Like, some people already have that. Like, maybe it's just connecting to breath. Maybe it's putting one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and putting your feet on the floor, or sitting Indian style and just connecting to your breath, breathing in, breathing out, you know, and deepening that breath and just calling yourself into the present moment. Whatever it is, that's what this is giving me. Long or short, it's like, it's important to just connect to yourself, to bring your energy home, to be at peace and be calm, and to also, you know, maybe even spend some meaningful time really visualizing things going the way that you want them to, things working out. It's really giving me, it's also giving me this color yellow. I'm looking around my room and I'm seeing yellow, 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 yellow. So yellow is the color of the solar plexus chakra. This is how we relate to the world. And you may be calmer and you may be more positive in how you see things when you make sure you make time for this or build this into your life. Take it as it resonates. But there's definitely, regardless of what your story is, regardless of what your scenario is, there is this unveiling, or this like, you're stepping into a new zone, a new time period. This is giving me like gold, the metal gold, like abundance. Okay, let me dive deeper here. This could be through something at work, even something related to work or related to purpose. I just got the word purpose. Oh, wow. And then when I got purpose, then I heard porpoise. And then I saw there's a dolphin, a porpoise in this picture. So weird. The dolphin may have certain significance. Some of you may have a dolphin tattoo, or dolphin, that may be your favorite animal, or it may be an animal totem, or there's some, oh, okay. There is some, okay, how interesting. Okay, so there is, there's some significance to this dolphin. I can just tell you that. It's also then just gave me Lemuria. Okay, here we have some kind of energy here. Space, love, stop, and movement. And stop is in reverse. And I went to turn it right side up, and it was like, no. This stop sign is in reverse. And something that just got me is you can't tell that a stop sign is in reverse because it's absolutely symmetrical, left to right, up and down, in every way it's symmetrical. So there is no indication that anything has changed that's as if this word wasn't here, it wouldn't occur to me that this was in reverse. What in the world is this telling me? I have no idea. I don't know. Take it as it resonates. That was sticky. You have space, you have love, and you have movement here, and it kind of wants me to focus on this. And again, look at this. Meditation is like space. It really is. Relationship is like love, and then movement, this gateway and emergence. Actually, the gateway is giving me this upside down stop sign. It could be that you thought your life was on pause, or you thought things were not moving much, but you were actually like walking through a portal or walking through a gateway. You just couldn't see that it was like really shifting externally. See, there is an alignment here with your visualization and your reality. Something that you've been manifesting is coming into reality. It's coming together. It's happening. And you see how the heart is in the center of this trust, and then there's this love. And this relationship is at the heart of the matter with these oracle cards. I can tell you, I can just feel it. So there is something where I feel like this is saying what this was saying. I feel like I shouldn't even say it again. I don't want to make it murky or cloudy. But when you have something like that, it's definitely a confirmation. It feels like tempo in your life is going to really speed up. You're going to start seeing things externally that match the visualization that you have, and then things are going to speed up. Like, whew. Wow, I just want you to see, look at these cards. The sadness and confusion and lost. Look at they all look alike, and they all fell out at different times, and they all fell out kind of sideways. I don't know what this card is, but I just want to talk about this for a minute. There is something at the heart here where something left you reeling. Something left you feeling like you were not in control, or like it goes beyond I'm not in control. It's almost like a feeling of being small, disconnected, disjointed, sort of floating around out there, not really being tethered. Let me see what this says. Wisdom. You were learning something. Silence. Look at that. Look at these cards. That's freaky. I mean, you guys know this deck, right? Is like, you know, and that's what you got. Pisces, there's something here with this sadness and this confusion where there's just this energy of like, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to make this better. I'm trying to figure out how to say something that will help people to understand. And it feels as though you were shouting into a void. It feels as though to some degree you were talking to people who couldn't hear you because they didn't want to hear you. Also, I'm kidding. You're talking to people who are so wrapped up in their own ego, their own mind, their own pride, their own issues, their own heaviness, their own burdens, their own weight, their own insecurity. It's giving me so many. It's like, you know those things on Instagram where it says take a screenshot and that's the message that it has for you? You know what I'm saying? And it goes rapid fire, like boom, 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 boom. It's showing me that. And it's just, it's giving me this energy of trying all these ways to communicate with people and being so frustrated and so lost and so confused. And and thinking it's you, thinking maybe I'm not communicating it right, maybe there's something wrong with me, maybe I should just be the way they want me to be, or maybe I should just say the things they want me to say, or like, why do I have to be this nonconformist, even like questioning your own whatever. But I feel you holding on to your integrity, and I feel you holding on to, it's giving me lifeblood, your lifeblood, whatever that means. Like, no, this is a part of me. Yeah, like it is actually a piece of you. And you're like, I'm not giving this one up. I fuck it. That's what I just got. Like, fuck them, fuck this. I am holding on to this piece of myself. And I am not going to deny it. I'm not going to cut it off. I'm not going to make it small. This is like where I draw the red line. And there is something to where you have learned a lot. When you draw that red line, a lot of times people fall away. They become disinterested in you. They don't talk to you anymore. They even can sometimes get mad at you. They can even blame you. They can even, lash out at you in different ways. And because you were a giver and now you're not doing what they want, and your behaviors become unpredictable because now you're starting to say, wait, I matter in this. And then they're going to call you selfish. That's not selfish, you know? And having actually gone through this, whatever I was talking about the other day, somebody wrote an extremely insightful comment about this is how they treat the scapegoat in families. That same energy is coming up, and now because I've read that comment, I'm seeing that energy. But you know, if you don't know what a family scapegoat is, but you feel like everything was always your fault in your family, look it up. It is the hardest role you can play in this life. That's what they say. And it like, you can recover from it. I definitely was my family scapegoat, and I definitely am in a much better place. So you can do it. You can live through that and find happiness and joy and love in the end still. Okay, and you are worth it. You are worth it. You are 100% worthy. Okay, so some conversation is happening here. Probably you with you, and it feels like I'm just being called to back it up, to fortify it, to strengthen it, to say, hey, just look, you know. There is life on the other side of this. You're moving through the gateway, man. Anyway, you will never, and I like, never and always are almost always never true. You know, it's almost always a lie when someone says always or never. But it is giving me, you know, drawing a very firm line here. We will not back down. I will not back down, whatever this is. Even if that means that I have to be brave, and like, it's showing me full card energy here, which the full card is ruled by Uranus, which if you don't know a lot about Uranus is about communication. Uranus's energy is kind of similar to Mercury's, but it's slower, deeper. That's my feeling about Uranus energy. And so with this full card, it's really giving me very strong Uranus energy. You are learning that if people don't listen to you or don't want to hear what you have to say, thank you, next. It's like, I'm done. You know, I don't need to know anything else about you. I don't need to make excuses for you. I don't need to, nothing. I make that observation, and that's it. That's all I need to know. I'm not going to continue to try. Also, I'm not going to continue to give you proximity to me to make up your own story about what is occurring between us. Like I'm withdrawing my energy, like I'm getting polar freeze, space, time, nothing. You're getting nothing. You know, you can make up stories based on whatever you want it to be, but I will not give you any credence. I will not give you any way to make it look believable. I'm withdrawing completely. My energy, my time, my space, my proximity. You just have no access to me. And so you do not know. Silence. There it is. It's right there. You have learned a lot. Okay. There's a relationship or relationships showing up here that are showing you have made it to the other side of the gateway. I absolutely love these cards. I don't use them much because they require a lot of crystal clothing, but we got a lot of crystals. And these cards are beautiful. And so they were calling to me today, so we're doing it. They are by, the woman who created this deck is autistic. And she's not shy about, you know, sharing her, you know, journey. She has a beautiful Instagram page. She has a beautiful eye and a beautiful understanding of tarot and life and the esoteric. And man, she's just super plugged in. I love her. I'm trying to think of her name and I can't. But the decks are Serpent Fire and She-Wolf. Hey. We're going to clarify She-Wolf with Serpent Fire. I also have her Oracle deck. I will buy whatever she puts out. She's just amazing. Stop. Hey. Honey, back in. I think I have negatively reinforced. There isn't anything out there. Honey wants a treat. To be good. I've negatively reinforced getting a treat. No, ma'am. No. Absolutely not. I have really been just like, I've been painting a lot, and with acrylic paint, it dries super fast. Hey, so when my dogs have been getting a little crazy, I've been giving them a bone. And, guys, let me just talk to them for a second. Okay, guys, there's nobody out there, and we're not just getting treats for the sake of getting treats. If you let me finish this and you're good, then I'll give you a treat, okay? I know that you guys are smart enough to understand what I'm saying. All right? Okay. We've made a deal. We have a peace treaty reached here. Okay, we have the Ten of Wands and the Four of Cups. And this Four of Cups came out sideways, and that's significant. You have the Three of Swords on the bottom of the deck. And look, this person is boxed in. That boxed in feeling with this confusion here and just the body posture is sadness. Whenever you get into that fetal position, that is protection and healing. No. No. It's my fault. I reinforced that. No. Lay down. You have this energy of pulling all of your energy back in. And, you know, healing and kind of getting as strong and as small as you can to survive whatever you're going through. But this box, this is like what people or situations have put you in. Hey, a situation that's totally inflexible, where you're not capable of growing, and where you always have to be in this position. You always have to be at your weakest and need to protect yourself in order to just be involved, you know? And there's this pyramid here, which is giving me, especially with the sun, that even in this space, you are seeing the light, you are gaining clarity, you are having spiritual enlightenment and gaining wisdom. I'm just gonna close the door to my office. I hate to do that because they don't like it, but there. It's almost like a pressure cooker where it is like turning you in. It is teaching you a very valuable lesson here, and or you're gaining really important higher level, almost like spiritual wisdom through this experience of being. Oh, my lawn people are here, and I didn't see them because they were across the street. So here I thought my dogs were just trying to get extra treats, but they're not. I'm sorry, I have glass French doors, and so they really don't keep any sound out. Do you hear them? I mean, obviously you must. They're going crazy. Oh, the guy is like right up by my front door. Okay, so it'll get better. Anyway, this is a very heavy time. This is a very burdensome time, and it's not sustainable. You know, we can't stay in this position forever. You know, it becomes uncomfortable. It becomes grueling. It becomes difficult. It stops being a sanctuary and starts being somewhere that we're almost like allergic to being. You know what I mean? And so there is, you can see this, the way this Ten of Wands is even depicted in these cards, where she is like naked here, okay? And over here, it's almost like her shadow. But that nakedness is the honesty. It is kind of when we have to look in the mirror and say, wow, this isn't working for me. Like, I remember with my family when I kept finding myself looking in the mirror going, whoa, this is not working for me. Wow, this is really draining me. Wow, this is making it so that I can't be the kind of mother and kind of wife that I want to be. This is actually making it, you know, and it kept going and kept going and kept going until I was really like a shadow of myself. It's like I didn't even almost kind of recognize myself. And, you know, I had to really be vulnerable, and really I had to also, I will tell you, if I wanted it to be a healing journey, I also had to look at what they were saying and ask myself if that was true. You know, ask myself, is it just me? Can they just not get along with me because I'm too emotional? Is it this? Is it that? And I had to work through it. And the way that it actually went down for me is that I kind of divorced my mom, my dad, and my brother, and I still had my sister and my aunt and like some other kind of random distant relatives. And I was super close to my aunt and I was super close to my sister. But and I'm kind of glad for the way that it happened, because, you know, getting rid of your parents, and that's a kind of a horrible way to say it, but getting rid of your parents, you know, kind of divorcing that situation is really hard. And it, you know, you are left an orphan, and you constantly wonder, am I doing the right thing? Am I, like, you know, is there a way to salvage this? And I'm telling you, I worked through everything. I was doing yoga all the time. I was meditating all the time. My yoga teacher is also a counselor. She's amazing. You can find Craig and Nicole, my meditation coach and my yoga coach. And Craig also teaches yoga and also was one of my yoga teacher trainers along with Nicole. Their New World Wellness on YouTube. And they have just a few videos, and but they're like really phenomenal human beings. And Nicole, you'll see if you even just like watch one of her yoga classes. She is extremely nurturing and extremely loving and extremely like accepting and giving, and just she's a beautiful, beautiful human. Anyway, I worked through a lot of my questions, like, am I too emotional? Am I, and you know, it was so interesting because the answers to those questions are not personal. They're not unique to me or to you. There is only really one answer, and the answer is you are exactly who you are supposed to be. You are made exactly that way for a reason. There is no other you in this universe. You are the only one. And wow, something just came together in the pit of my stomach. And this is horrible. And some of you that have dogs that you love tons, this is going to be hard to say. But you know, as a dog owner, when you are super close to your dog, like, you know, my dog Bhakti is like kind of my soulmate. And my grand dog is like my only grandchild. And I'm obsessed with her. If you watch my art channel, starting over studio, you'll have seen my grand dog and our little relationship. We're like besties. Anyway, you know how you get that feeling of like, oh, I just don't want anything to ever happen to you. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, you mean everything to me. And oh, I just need you to live forever. That kind of vibe. I just got that God, like this energy that like the divine feels that way about us. Like, that type of love, that type of just like, it's weird. It's showing me something about communication, how, you know, our dogs hear us, but they don't talk back to us, and how the divine hears us, but they don't talk back to us, and how there's some kind of deeper level love that can occur in a situation like that. Anyway, you guys just take this as it resonates, but you are loved to a degree that is incredible. And you are perfection. You are. And anyone who tells you that you're not is grappling with their own imperfection and is not willing to be vulnerable and look at it. When you are willing to be vulnerable and look at it, you have the opportunity to heal. And that is what happened to me. So I got rid of the first part of my family. It was the biggest part of my family. My brother was my best friend my entire life. Well, my brother and my two cousins passed away. So I only had my brother left and their brother. And I was really close with their brother also. I got rid of my brother, so I still had, my cousin and my aunt, who's his mom, and my uncle, her husband, and then my sister. And I just I devoted all my time and energy to both of them. And they both were, you know, my aunt, having lost her two daughters, was a heavy human to carry. And my sister, who was locked in a custody battle with I would call him a malignant narcissist, but I'm not so sure he's not a sociopath. And so she was very heavy to carry. And I was her only support system, because my family doesn't support you. My family is like, oh, that sucks for you. You know, you probably made some choices that it got you there. And, you know, so I was supporting both of those people, my husband and my children. And there's a lot of drinking that likes to happen in my family. It's like, we cannot just have dinner. We have to have dinner and 4 bottles of wine. Like, it's crazy. So there was just a lot of drinking. Plus, you know, it was not a good scene. Anyway, my sister started visiting my parents and my brother. And my brother has a very big personality. It's kind of like a narcissist. Well, he's not kind of like, he's never been diagnosed or anything, but gosh, does he really have the traits. So he's so confident, and he's very successful, he's very wealthy. And so my whole family is sort of, and boys in my family are also like elevated by the nature of being boys. They, people just, he tells you how it is, and you'll say, well, I don't feel that way, or I don't think that, and he will turn it around and sort of bring apples and oranges into the fruit bowl and turn it into salad, and you can't even remember what you were talking about. He's just a very gifted arguer. And so anyway, my sister would go up there and she would come back and she would be like talking crazy to me. And I was like, okay, I already got rid of that whole part of my family. I'm not dealing with this, plus all your problems, plus this drinking situation, plus, I have a big life on my own, which was also never respected. So then my aunt, that was a whole other thing. But I had this opportunity that by the time it got to my aunt, I saw it happening. It was almost an out-of-body experience. She came at me, like they all do, and I did not react. I just stood there and I looked at her and I was like, wow, okay. She would say all the time, she would tell everyone, I could only survive the death of my 2 girls because of Christy. Like, she's the one that got me through it. And and she's standing there and she's saying in one breath, you're my person, and so if you tell me something, then I'm going to listen to you. And then in the next breath, regurgitated my brother's vitriol. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is happening. I just stood there and I was like, wow. And I could just see it. And then she was like, different things that I had taught her, like from yoga and all this stuff, she started using it in a very twisted way in this conversation. And I was just standing there, and if my eyeballs could have fallen out of my head, they probably would have. And then, she starts saying stuff like, don't worry, I haven't told this other person in our family and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, which just means that she has in my family. And I was like, oh, amazing. So you turned my great aunt against me. Okay. And like, and in that moment, I could just see the complete toxicity of my family. And I could see how lucky I was for kind of getting out. And even though it left me this orphan, and that like my entire orientation to the world, who I thought I was, how I identified myself, this yellow energy, my solar plexus chakra, my ego, everything, I related as I am, these 2 people's daughter. I am these 2 people's sibling. I am this person's cousin. I am this person's niece. All those things I had to let go of and be tetherless to, and that's a big thing. And, I knew it was a big thing at the time, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. I have the rest of my life to get to know who I am without having those parameters and those tethers and that box around me. And it's such a gift. I wouldn't be here now reading tarot on YouTube if I had stayed in that box. Absolutely not. This would have been totally unacceptable. But I had to be willing to be naked. I had to be willing to be my most vulnerable self. I had to be willing to look in the mirror. I had to be willing to face this shadow of, why did I let these people do this to me for so long? It's not like I didn't have my own family. It's not like I didn't have my job and my work that I was passionate about and that I loved and that, was very exciting. I had so much, and I let these people keep me in this box and keep me sad and confused and lost and feeling like I wasn't enough or that I was too much. When the reality is, and I really learned this through yoga meditation, when you clear all the noise out the question sort of stops being, am I too emotional, or am I too this, or am I too that? And really what you hear is the silence. And in the silence, you get like the light. And the light is, you're perfect. Why do you think you were made the way you were made? God does not make any trash. You are perfect, and you are part of this tribe. I was even part of my family for a reason. I was the truth teller. I was the scapegoat. I was the dark sheep or the black sheep or whatever you want to call it. I hate labels, so I try to stay away from them. But that was me, and I fulfilled my role. And my role was my lesson. It was my cross to bear, and it was my gateway, honestly, because there's no way in hell anybody is going to tell me who to be, how to be, what to be. There is no way that I'm going to sit and try to explain myself to anyone or justify myself to anyone. I do not give a shit what you think about me. I do not give a shit if you think I'm too much or not enough or anything. You know, the people that love me huge. And I am extremely grateful for them and my dogs and my friends that have survived this entire thing with me, you know? So, and have had their own things. And, you know, we have been able to learn and grow together through these really horrific experiences. But it requires complete honesty with yourself. And it requires really looking at it, and it requires really saying, when you are suffering, and when someone has put you in a box, or when you're in a situation that you feel sad and confused and like you can't get out of it, you got to really be willing to be honest with yourself, because that honesty jumpstarts the healing process. The moment you are willing to be wrong, the moment you are willing to be too much, the moment you are willing to accept any of these things about yourself, that is where the freedom begins. That is where you find this perfection. That life is perfect, you are perfect, everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to, you are exactly where you are meant to be. You can do this, and you are meant to do this, and you are meant to rise. You are meant to be you in that fullest expression of you. Whatever that is, it's perfect, absolutely perfect. The only thing that's not perfect is our human want to cover it up, who we are, or our human feeling of not being enough, not being worthy, or being too much. That's the problem. It's not us. We are not the problem. We are perfectly made. And we are loved. Okay, I don't know where all that's coming from or why we're here, but that message is definitely for someone who's going through something. It's a gateway. It's a pressure cooker, and you're coming out the other side something really delicious and amazing and luscious and I'm getting the word lavish. Lavish? Is that a word? Okay, I don't know. Then you have the 4 cups here sideways. And this is this energy of disassociation, sadness, disconnection, just feeling like you're not belonging, you're not fitting in. Their life is just a series of missed opportunities, or things that could have been, things that I wanted, things that I hoped for, but that I never got. And you'll remember in the 4 of Cups, the universe is holding out that one hand with that one cup, and they're not seeing it. And it's really showing me a heavy highlight on that cup that's in front of you that you haven't seen. The moment you accept yourself exactly as you are, and the moment you are just like, I am actually perfectly made, that something shows up and everything comes. Okay, let me get some more cards here, sorry. Oh, you want back in? Are you not gonna bark? You handsome. Come here. Okay, I gotta let my dog back in. He's so cute. If you guys can see him, I can't stand for him to be on the outside. He's my baby. There they are. All right, now lay down and be guts. Okay, I know you can. Yeah, no, lay down. See, they still think they're getting a T-R-E-A-T. I've trained them. Lay down. I love you. Lay down. Okay. So it is unfortunate because of YouTube. You can't, show like the full fabulosity of these cards. Okay. So, okay. We have the Eight of Swords. I'm sorry. Let's talk about this first. We have a 10, clarifying a 10. This is the completion of a cycle. The Wheel of Fortune is saying it's turning in your favor. There's, the Wheel of Fortune is the story of the Sphinx, in regular tarot. And there's that question. And it's like, what, I don't know why it's giving me this. I normally wouldn't have to look this up, but here I am. What walks on 4 feet in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 at night? And it's man who crawls as an infant, walks upright in the afternoon, and uses a cane in old age. Oedipus correctly solves the riddle, and that causes the Sphinx to destroy itself. And the symbolism, the riddle represents the stages of human life and is interpreted across philosophy and psychology. I think this is AI, so just, this is I like Googled it because I can't really think through things when I'm doing this. Anyway, somehow that can relate for some of you. And so feel free to interpret that however you want. But it is also talking about like evolution and growth. And sometimes growth, it doesn't look like growth makes a lot of sense when you're going from a baby to like a 21-year-old. It's like, wow, you just keep getting better. You just keep improving. You just keep whatever. And then at some point we start to sort of quote unquote go downhill, right? Although we're not really, yes, our body is kind of breaking down, but the other parts of us, a lot of times, if we are open to growth, if we are willing to face that naked soul within us and say, okay, what if I am this? What if I am that? With my family, I was like, what if I am too emotional? Do you think if someone is quote unquote too emotional, if there is such a thing, that the best thing to do is to yell at them and chastise them for being too emotional? Do you think that that's a loving approach? Do you think that in any way is going to help improve or ease the suffering or the burden? Have you ever loved someone? When you love someone, or even your dog, when my dog, I will do anything to prevent suffering of my kids, my husband, my dog, those that I love. I really, it's like you need to vent, you need to talk through it, you need someone just to sit beside you while you live the moment. I'm right there. I'm gonna be your girl. And so there is this, there's just this energy of when I asked myself these questions and when I had to come to these conclusions, it brought me to this space where I was like, okay, either they don't love me, or they don't know how to love, or they can't get out of their own energy enough to like even consider another person. Anyway, it is any answer that I could even come up with as to why this would be, I knew I did not want to deal with this person. And that's this wisdom card. That's what it's giving me. And so with this Wheel of Fortune, there is this evolution. And it is passing through this gateway. It is relieving yourself of these burdens. It is freeing yourself from this box. from, sort of, that's this person and that's just who they are. It's time for you to have a new identity. It's time for you to emerge. It's time for you to even, get in front of new people that you have to introduce yourself to as your new self, not as, you don't tell the old narrative. You don't say, oh yeah, well, I used to be this person, no, you are who you are right now. That is a part of your history. That's a part you've already lived. The more you want to identify with that, the more you carry that into your future. I don't really talk about it. Every once in a while it comes up in tarot card readings because I think we're facing life. And, we're all just walking each other home. If what I have been through can help, light anyone's path or strengthen anyone or give anyone peace, I want my suffering to count for as much as it can, and I do love you guys and I do want to ease your suffering if this is you and you're going through this, and so I'm just saying that, you do reach this place and you go, okay, never again. Not for anyone, not for any reason, not for any friendship, not for any love, quote unquote, because it isn't love, not for, anything will I tolerate this energy. So then you have the Three of Wands and the Eight of Swords. So with this Four of Cups coming out sideways, this is an energy that's changing. Okay, some of you may still have the inability to see what life is offering you. I can tell you that, in my opinion, what life is offering you every single day of your life, and this is kind of how I look at life, is that, here it is. Here's another 24-hour period to get to know yourself, to be more honest, to be more loving, to open more, to learn more, to be curious about more, to explore what it is to be a human being having a spiritual experience on this planet, in this moment, in this time. How do you want to spend it? What are you going to do with it? What things, sometimes we have to get things done. I've got clothes in the dryer right now. But sometimes we have to get things done, right? We have to address things, but we all have free time outside of that. And what are you doing with it? This Three of Wands, Eight of Swords energy is a feeling of, I'm trying to look toward the future. I'm trying to plan. I'm trying to imagine what it's going to be like. I'm trying to visualize this. I'm trying to get a strategy and a plan. But with the Eight of Swords on top of it, my mind keeps coming back around. So some things that happen to us when we have been in these types of situations where we've kind of been in this box and we haven't been able to get out, sometimes we're afraid to hope. Sometimes we're afraid to think that things are going to get better, or, we sometimes think, well, I just need to accept reality the way reality is. Well, there is a certain amount of accepting reality the way reality is that is grounding, that is good, right? But is that how you always want it to be? Or if it could be some other way, what would you want it to look like? And, especially the collective consciousness has such power. That's why, when world leaders convince us that there's something wrong with our country, we believe them. We start buying into it because there is the energy of the collective consciousness. And at the heart of the matter, no matter who you are, no matter what your perspective is, and no matter what thing you think is wrong, we all think there is something wrong, right? We would all do it a little bit differently, because we're all different. And that's good. That's actually the solution, not the problem. But, when we are told certain things, or when we have it drilled into our head and we're all thinking certain ways, it has an impact on reality. And the same thing for you as an individual. When you are thinking, when you keep coming back around to, a fear that maybe you aren't worthy, or a fear that's why you have to heal. That's why you have to accept every part of you. That's why you have to go through the process, the gateway. You can't skip that part, you know? And there are people that will fake it. That blows my mind, but I've actually watched people do this where they're like, oh yeah, no, now I'm fine. And that's when it's manifesting underneath the surface the whole time, and it will come back out. Anyway, I don't know why we're having this kind of conversation here today, but this is just saying, you know, we have these mental loops that we have to break, and they are like binding us. They are like the chains and the double card that are keeping us stuck to this lower vibrational energy. And we have to really look at them, and we have to really evaluate them. The swords are our thoughts and what we're telling ourselves. When we're not nice to ourselves, when we're critical of ourselves, when we're beating ourselves up, we have to look at that. Where is that coming from? Why am I saying that to myself? Why aren't I loving myself in this moment? In this moment when I need myself the most, why am I being cruel? Why am I being critical? Why am I defeating myself with this Five of Swords energy rather than uplifting myself and telling myself, I know you can do it. I know you got this. Where is that coming from? There is some alchemy happening in this reading. Holy moly. We have the Five of Cups with the Hermit and the Ten of Swords. Oh, I guess we got to give her some clothes too. We'll give her green amethyst clothes because that looks good. Okay. Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh. I love these cards so much. Okay. So you have the Hermit and the Ten of Swords with the Knight of Swords. You know, the Hermit is this energy where, you know, that is kind of the gateway energy. It is kind of the energy where it's like you have to think about, what do I want? What is my wish fulfillment? And, you know, when I got to that place, I had to live through a lot of stuff before I could even get to that spot. But when I got to that spot, what I really wanted was peace and acceptance. I was allergic to judgment. I was allergic to criticism. I was allergic to everything. I actually pretty much stopped doing art. It really coincided with a bunch of other things that randomly were leading me in a different direction. And it was just like, you know, because whenever you do art, whenever you make art, people are very critical. You cannot escape it. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've accomplished. There's always going to be somebody that's like, I didn't like that, you know? Okay, fine. And when you're kind of at this really vulnerable stage, you have a hard time dealing with that. But anyway, with this Hermit, it is like an isolation energy. It is this silence kind of energy. It is this, you know, coming, like honing in on the light within. And not worrying so much about what is happening outside of you or what the ramifications are for the decisions you made, or even just really looking at anything outside yourself. It's like, it's kind of like when you arrive in triage and you're like mortally wounded, you can't think about, you know, whether you're, what other people are thinking about you in that moment. You just have to survive, you know? And you have to heal yourself. You have to bring all your energy home. Like, I just read Jeremy Renner's book, Breathless, maybe? I can't remember what it's called. But he was conscious for the whole time. He got run over by a snowplow. You know, it's like, you know, on a bulldozer, how they have those like metal linked chains over wheels that make the bulldozer move. Well, yeah, he went underneath that on like a 13-ton truck or something. It was some craziness. Anyway, his head shattered and like a lot of really gory details. But he talks about just knowing, you know, he was hearing conversations, he was hearing people talk around him. He was worrying about different situations, his family at his house, not having any food, not being able to get out of the driveway. He was worried about, you know, these people and how disruptive and traumatic it must be for them to see what they're seeing. How stupid he was for, you know, not putting it in gear or putting the brake on or whatever. Like basically he caused the accident. His negligence did or whatever. It was a whole series of events, really. It isn't just one thing, right? But you know, he had all that, and eventually it just got to this place where he knew if he stopped breathing, he would die. And so he had to bring all his energy into just taking a breath. And I've definitely been in situations emotionally like that where it's like, I just need to breathe. Like, breathing is what I just have to focus on breathing. And you know, in periods of time that I have been in that much pain, I have meditated my way through them. And that's kind of this hermit energy, is just like bringing your energy home, healing yourself, you know, only paying attention to yourself. And like for some of you, this isn't necessarily a healing energy. It is an energy of like, I want to do something big. You know, I'm taking a giant leap of faith. It's kind of that full card energy where it's like, I'm going all in without a net. And I got to trust the universe. And it's hard for me to trust the universe because I have already learned lessons about how the universe can be. You know, and so here I am. And so it's kind of this energy of like gearing up for this and getting yourself really ready for this. With the Ten of Swords, this is the completion of a cycle where it's like you've thought it to death. You know, with my family, it's like I would go round and round trying to explain, trying to justify in my head, and then okay, when they do this again next time, here's how I'm going to handle the situation. Okay, you know, the next time my mom starts yelling at me like this, I'm actually just not going to respond. I'm going to focus on breath. I'm going to call my energy inward. I'm just going to get through it. I'm not going to respond. You know, it's like there's this energy, or like you know, when you're about to do something big, you know, like let's say it's a financial endeavor, let's say you're going to buy a house, or you're going to make an investment in something, or you know, and you're not going to be able to get your money but right back out of it, and do you have enough money and all this stuff. There is this energy of, you know, talking to yourself and saying, well, like, you know, when I get to this point, or when I have this much in the bank, then it will be okay. Or you know, like when this kid is this age, or when, you know, the house is this much paid off, or you know, when I get my living expenses under control to here, or the car is paid off, or the student loan is paid off, or whatever, that's when I'm going to take this leap of faith. And in this period of time of convincing ourselves not to take a leap of faith for all of these reasons, or for whatever we're telling ourselves, is coming to an end. And that's this Ten of Swords. With the Knight of Swords on the bottom of the deck, this is a Libra energy, and it is an energy where it's like, I'm deciding I need to do this. And you go in with full gusto. You are outrunning fear. And you know the truth. You know you have to do this. You know this is something, sometimes maybe you have to cut it off. Look, this is like a gateway. Do you see this card? This girl is brilliant. It's like a body overarching this person. But you know you have to. The decision has been made. The truth has been gotten to. Sometimes you need to cut things off. Sometimes you just need to be like waving your sword to be like, I mean business. Like, don't get in my way. There's just this energy with this Knight of Swords of determination. It's like, once I start moving, I'm not stopping. Once I start moving, and you have this movement card here right almost underneath this Knight of Swords energy. It's like, once I start going, once I get going, there's no slowing me down. There's no stopping me. All right, let me clarify this. Wow. Oh my gosh. For the second time, we are getting 2 10s on top of each other in this reading. Oh my God, and 2 9s. Oh, and 2 knights. Oh my gosh. You know, when spirit, this keeps happening in my tarot card readings. Like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like it's happening every single day where it's like, okay, here's a confirmation. I mean, these 2 sets of oracle cards were saying the exact same thing. Like, that's a confirmation. That's unusual. Like, to get this same message out of really different cards. And then to have this backed up, this 9 and this 10, you are completing this cycle. And this is one that's going to lead to extreme happiness. It's not going to be chaotic and a rat race forever to like outrun your fear. You're eventually going to, it's going to normalize, you know, it's going to feel like your new normal. Like, it's giving me that. It's actually showing me my own life. So it's you eventually will not be in that part of your nervous system anymore where you're like sort of chaotic and jumpy and reactionary. How do I want to say that? I think reactionary has a negative connotation, and this isn't negative or positive. It just is. But it's like when you switch from fight or flight in your nervous system to a calm nervous system. I don't know if there's a name for that, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, with the Hermit and the 9 of Pentacles, and this is what it's telling me. Some of you have already been through this. Some of you have already gotten to the other side of this energy. Or maybe you have in certain facets of your life, but now you're doing it in additional facets of your life. And you kind of know when you get there. This 9 of Pentacles is kind of that energy of like, okay, I'm ready to be the fool. I'm ready to take the leap of faith. I am solid and stable, and I'm attracting opportunities, including the opportunity to jump off that cliff, you know, that we see in the Fool card, not literally, but metaphorically. And with the, we can see the end in sight, and we can also see the new beginning. The 10 of Swords being clarified by the 10 of Cups. It is, you know, when I was saying, why do we talk to ourselves so cruelly? Why aren't we loving? Why aren't we nurturing? Especially in these moments where we really need that kindness. We need that compassion. You know, Bhakti, no. Bubba, you know, I oftentimes will revisit that, and that really was a pivotal thought that really got me through a lot of hard stuff. Was thinking about, well, what if they're right? What if I am to this or to that? And then I started thinking about, how would I treat someone who was those things? Would I take their same tactic, or would I, you know, how would I handle it? And what do I consider to be loving? And I always go to 1 Corinthians 13 in the Bible. And to me, that is the ultimate definition of love. And I ask myself if that behavior, the behavior that I've been shown, is love, you know? And the very first line of that is, love is patient. If someone's telling you you're too much, and like that is a fault of yours, and that, you know, all this stuff, and that, you know, they just can't tolerate how you are, that's not love. Period. It just isn't. And, you know, we can tell people things about themselves in a loving way, or we can show them in a loving way if we feel we need to, you know. Like, for example, when you have a loved one who is drinking too much, or, doing something else that's self-destructive, you can show them. And the best way to show people is your life as your testimony, like being true to yourself, being the pillar of consciousness in your own life for you. That is the biggest lamplight there is. And the biggest thing, if that person is introspective or willing to look at it, or willing to ask themselves, like, wow, what is it that I admire about this person, or what is it that I really like about this person? And then ask themselves, where can I emulate that, or be that, or incorporate that into who I am? You'll always find it. Yeah, I have always found it. So anyway, this 10 of Cups, 10 of Swords energy, it is learning how to be more loving with yourself and nurturing yourself and investing in yourself. And also it is perspective, and it is how you look at things. It is saying, I am abundant in all of these ways. It's not looking at, well, God, I got this crappy mom that like ripped me apart. Who would I have been if I had a different mom? That's not productive. What is productive is by saying, oh, my mom did give me this. My mom, my mom taught me about art. My mom taught me about good food. My mom taught me about, education. She made sure I had an incredible education. My mom did give me a lot of things, and, like when you start focusing on those things and on the things that are abundant in your life, maybe not even related to that situation, but just like your dog, the food in your fridge, the roof over your head, the bed to sleep in, your breath, the new day that you've been given, the miracle that it is, and how cool it is that part of this experiment that we're living in is that we can always do different. We can change the tide in any given moment, in any given day. We can make a different decision. And how powerful that is, and how incredible that is. And, when we are looking at life like that, like we're holding it in the palm of our hands, and that we are interconnected, and just, I don't know, I don't want to go too far into it, but when we look at it in this way, what we give birth to, what we create, what we emerge into on the other side of that gateway, it is beautiful, and it is big, and it is limitless. And it's incredible. And then things slow down, and then we start acting with a lot of intention, right? Like, I am doing this on purpose. I am, I try to live my life incredibly intentionally. I take my grand dog to Bok Tower, 3 to 4 times a week. It solves 2 problems. My dog that needs to walk, and I make art while I'm there. Plus it's just good for the soul to walk in a garden, especially one that beautiful. But I make intentional choices. I take a hot bath, I read, I make art, I do these things, and I schedule my life around them. Not to say that I always have all the time in the world, and not to say that every day is perfect and that I hit everything exactly the way that I want to, but I do it to the best of my ability every single day. And it shows, it is, and it's a better life because of it, right? So, and I'm not confused and sad and connecting with people that are putting me in a box, or not letting me be who I am, are telling me you have to play this role in order to play in this sandbox. I'm not dealing with that kind of stuff anymore. And what where that takes me, my head is clear. My life is in front of me. I have accepted myself completely. And whatever I create, whatever I do, is an extension and an expression of that, which is a way, 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 way lovelier way to exist and be in this world. Okay. Anyway, I don't know what is coming on here, Pisces, but you're emerging into something else. I do think some of you are taking a risk. I do feel that this is something that you have been kind of gearing up for a long time. Your period of waiting or your period of incubation is ended. Some of you are making very difficult decisions around relationships or even around self-acceptance. And that is an important part of the process that is bringing you to this emergence. Okay, if you're dealing with a water sign, you give me so much to look forward to. I am overthinking everything, and I had no idea you would end up meaning so much to me. That's the thing. When you leave, people miss you, but you don't really miss them. You know, every once in a while you'll feel nostalgic, but you're like, it always leads you to a place where you're like, you know, that never actually was what I thought it was. Or it leads you to a memory where you were absolutely traumatized. Okay. If you're dealing with a fire sign, I want a future with you. Secret. Annoyed. If you are dealing with an earth sign, I've been having weird dreams about us. I am afraid to trust. And I want your attention. And if you're dealing with an air sign, I am working on myself, twin flames, no one else matters now. All right, Pisces, well, what an interesting day. Always crazy to go down memory lane. I had a lot of dreams last night. It was wild. Anyway, and it is just an absolutely freaking spectacular day here in Florida today. Warm and sunny and gorgeous. Anyway, I hope you're having a beautiful day where you are. And I hope that this reading helps. I hope it brought you some peace and some clarity. If it did, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I am sending out tons of love to all of you. Until next time, bye-bye.